all the Pringles, just like eat them. And so a lot of that, usually a lot of volunteers will make something nice. But actually, like, our running group includes Vice President Biden's chef. So he like goes all out. So when you finish a race, like you get there and there's like this gourmet taco bar for you. Or one time they're like, oh, just for the volunteers, you get some wild salmon. And I'm like, what is this? So mostly we do, one thing that's awesome about ultras is they're really cheap because everyone does one like every other week. So the foods, yeah, that's like kind of Cheetos, Cheez-Its, and fruit, mostly. Yeah.
How does have you run in Bangladesh? And like, if so, how does it compare to this?
I have not, but I've gone hiking, and it's really beautiful up near like the temple and all the waterfalls. It's really nice. And one thing here too, so back home, there are switchbacks, which is when like a trail goes up the mountain by going like back and forth, and so it keeps the mountain from eroding. But here, I noticed the trails just go straight up, so you kind of have to like climb bamboo and do the best that you can. So that's interesting. But they're actually like quite similar if you look at. Like I feel like the landscape's very similar. So I do have, oh, go ahead.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First off, how do you stay awake continuously like that for 30 hours doing hard exercising? Do you take caffeine supplements? Do you like slap each other a lot? Like what do you do?
No, some people take naps. I didn't nap myself, but some people do. There's actually a rule on the trail where if you lay down across the trail, the next person will wake you up. So it's one thing to make sure that like you don't sleep for like an hour. But I mean, I don't think I would just like lay. Yeah, I'd probably lay down in the middle of the rocks actually. But I don't know. I remember like some aid stations now have like coffee. But I remember like one aid station had coffee, and I just wanted to like kiss them. I was like, thank you so much. But no, actually we drink a lot of people, I don't know, everyone likes to do crazy things, like beer is very popular. I've definitely, there's one race where we hang bottles of whiskey on the trail, so every time you get there, you take a sip. So the opposite of coffee.
And then my other question was, how fast are you going on these trails? Like, what would you say is like a mile per hour?
Yeah, and that's actually one thing I love about ultras is that it's like, since all races are different, it's usually not about speed. So like that one, the Barclay, you do 100 miles and it can take 60 hours because the terrain's really tough. So usually 4 miles per hour is considered a solid pace. But again, like that's like including like stopping at aid stations, and like one thing at aid stations is like everyone says like beware the chair, because if you sit down, all of a sudden like 23 minutes has passed and you're like, oh god, I gotta go. So and also depends on the elevation profile, but.
Sorry, anybody else has a question? So what do you usually carry with you? I noticed a lot of you have bags. What do you usually bring?
We usually carry about like a liter of water. Water's heavy, so you always want to make sure you're not carrying too much water. And then any kind of like first aid kit you might need, or just like some basic things like Band-Aids, and some food usually.
My last question is, like, I feel like in the US, running is really trendy. Like, running is something that you do for social prestige a lot. Like, right, like there's half-marathons and marathons every weekend. Like, everybody goes out, and it's all about like external too. Like what you were saying about community, but also about like showing off in a way. Like, look how athletic I am. Blah blah blah. They have like chocolate runs, they have beer runs, they have runs sponsored by every company. It's like such a thing. So how does this community like kind of protect itself
Yeah.
these bracelets at the end of a run. Getting away from that materialism and like maintaining the integrity of your culture.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed like one thing. I mean, yeah, I'm doing this trail, but I actually really don't like to talk about it because when you tell someone like you've run 100 miles, they don't feel like, oh, that's really cool. They just kind of look at you like, what? No. So you don't get like, you think you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be so cool. People are gonna think I'm awesome, and then instead people are just like, that's insane. So I noticed that straight away. But I think there actually are some corporate kind of events, and people avoid them a lot. And I mentioned, like you saw with the Barclay, like the application process is secret. A lot of races you don't know about if there isn't, if you're not involved in the community. And I think the community itself, unfortunately, like I said, it can be a little cliquish, but like the community itself kind of shields itself from that type of thing. I remember I actually have a friend who was doing triathlons and decided to run ultras, and he was signing up for like all of the worst races, like the ones that have been corporatized. And I'm like, what are you doing that for? Like, there's this awesome 50K in Virginia, and it's free, and it's awesome, and the after party is amazing, like the food is so good, like you should go and do it. And he's like, but there's like no way to sign up for it, and like it's just so far removed from that he didn't go. I was actually kind of angry at him for like, I'm trying to give you all this advice, like, damn it, take it. But yeah, it has, for the most part, I think used the kind of secretive, community-based, and a lot of the alternate community, like people stay there forever, so there are like a ton of old guys that just so Gary Nibbling is kind of famous in the Virginia area. He is 71 years old, and he still runs 100 milers. I don't even know. And he also is just like so energetic. He's the one who I always kind of help him out when he gets to an aid station. He always drinks all of my beer, and I'm like, you are 70 years old, and you just like what are you doing here? But he's run MMT, the 100 miler I volunteered at, 17 times. So ever since it started, he's run it every single year, and he's 71 now. But I remember he's also like really inappropriate. Not even gonna tell you, but I just remember like he was saying like the first time I was there, like one of the women was like, stop it, you guys, you're like running off all of the girls. Like, can you please just like not say that kind of stuff to her? And I was like, yeah, it's okay, I'm kind of used to it. I think, you know, the kind of, you gotta like respect your elders and stuff, is what I learned. But, yeah.
How do you like train for this? I mean, when the coach says 5 laps around the basketball court, I'm usually like, at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I actually thought that training was easier in terms of like going to work every day from 9 to 6 doing an ultra than a marathon, because you just run all weekend. Like, that's why I think everything is so social, because that's like your weekend life is going out to the mountains and like spending the weekend running. So you'll run like 40 miles over the weekend, but then you won't run Tuesday. You'll run like 7 miles on Tuesday night. You won't run on Wednesday. You'll run like 5 miles on Thursday. And you take Friday off to prepare for the next weekend. So it's a lot of just getting your body used to being on your feet. But also, you know, like I said earlier about setting high goals, you do want to be sure, I think, that you have like a base for those goals, because like I had been running consistently since I was like 11 years old, just around the neighborhood. So that I think plays a huge role in having a foundation.
Is it risky if you take a long break, like if you come to the conclusion like 4 to 3 years like you don't run?
Yeah. There is this thing called muscle memory, and it's when you've done something long enough, your muscles like just build up faster and like understand what you're asking of them. So I noticed even once I took just like a solid, 6 months off, hoping to heal, and I was amazed that like I went out onto the track and like could run a 7-minute mile. I was like, what? I haven't been working out. Like, what is going on? So I do think that there's like that's kind of important, and you have to trust the process. But as long as you build up your base again and take it easy, it won't, destroy your future as a runner. But everyone worries about that.
Does anyone here run?
Yeah.
I used to go jogging 3 times a week. I used to go out jogging 3 times a week.
Oh, really?
It's very important.
No, I think the reason I started running when I was 11 is because I thought I was fat. It was, like that's what society tells you. And I just remember like my family was like, I don't want to talk bad about my mom or anything, but like she definitely, I guess, no, never mind, y'all are Asian, you understand. When your mom's like, oh, you're getting a little chubby, and you're like, no. But I was always really skinny when I was little. Like I remember people used to come up to me and just like put their hand around my ankle, because I was just like, one girl told me she didn't want to be my friend because I was too skinny. And then I started to do gymnastics, and like I hit puberty, and I still remember the exact numbers that I went from 78 pounds to 91 pounds in like 6 months. Like I was like 11, and I still remember those exact numbers. And like I always just like had serious body issues with like every time I look in the mirror, I would just be like, oh my god, I'm so fat, and I like hate myself. I found this diary entry from when I was taking like biology in like, I don't know, like 9th grade or something, where I just remember like my biology teacher was like, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And like the example, like he was, he said it's protein, like your body's made of protein. And because that's what biology teachers help us learn. He was like, when you look at yourself naked in the mirror. And so my diary entry was just like, what do I see when I look in the mirror? And it was just like, my like arms are too flabby, like my boobs aren't big enough, like I have a fat stomach, I don't even know what like a nice butt is supposed to look like, but I'm pretty sure I don't have it, and like my legs are so short and so stubbly, and like I don't care what my body is made of, I hate my body. And that was like, I just remember looking at it, I was like, oh my god. And I still remember like the first time, like I ran 10 miles and I came home, I once again looked at myself in the mirror and I was just like, my legs just ran 10 miles, like that's awesome. And like, and all of a sudden I felt like that helped. And so I just, still every day, struggle with something like that, but it was just like every day I would run and I did something, it was more about what my body did than what it looked like. And that just helped me so much. You can't hate your body when you beat your PR by 20 minutes, your personal best, at a marathon. You can't like hate your body when you run 100 miles. And like food's no longer evil, it's fuel. Like I need to eat now because I'm running after school. Like that's really important. So I think, in terms of like why I run, that plays a really big role.
So if we do a quick poll, if Miss Britt creates an ultramarathon club at AUW, how many people we can take it? So on Sunday we can start training. Is that we can do that? Yeah. Start with 50 miles.
Yeah. We'll go out for a day, do 12 hours.
Yeah.
Most of us would like to help at the aid stations.
My favorite thing about aid stations is I say I can eat Pringles if I work at an aid station. So you always look forward to it. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna eat all the Pringles.
Everyone else can bring Mishti. It'll be great.